Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LoroSportsPod Woo Sportscenter show with Loro and Matt. Today is our Christmas special. Next week will be our New Year's special. And Matt is with me to talk about some sports. And Matt, how's it going?
Going well. And Laura, how are you doing?
Doing great. Hope everybody's having a good start to their holiday week. And then everybody, happy holidays. Merry Christmas out there. And today
Merry
is our
Christmas to you, Laura, and your family.
same with yours. So, anyways, let's start our Christmas special with talking some football here. So let's start with Week 15 recap. So talk about games being moved to Tuesday because of COVID outbreaks. That's kind of the biggest standout there.
Yeah, that was crazy. The NFL initially said they weren't going to move games, but that was under the pretext that players and coaches were unvaccinated. So they were basically saying, if you were unvaccinated, we're not going to move a game for you if there's an outbreak. So given that the vast majority of the NFL players are vaccinated, they decided to move these games. And, it was some bad football all around. On Monday with the Browns and the Raiders, that was a low scoring, error-prone game. But Raiders, they came out and at the end they shut the door on the Browns. They had the interception, Derek Carr did, but he said to his guys, "Just give me the ball back, and I'll get us into at least field goal range." That's what he did, and they kicked the field goal and they won it. Good for the Raiders. And with the Browns going up to Green Bay this Sunday or this Saturday, their season's done. I think they're going to be 7-8.
Not quite. If they lose, they're not quite done just yet. They still have an opportunity to win ball games, but it's probably not going to be pretty for them.
Right. They'll still technically be in it. I just don't think they're going to make it. Now, I think that Raiders game was a must-win for them. Then yesterday's games, well, that looks like once again the playoff door has been shut on Seattle and Washington. I don't see Seattle's all but mathematically eliminated, and Washington only has, I think, a 4% chance right now to make the playoffs. So interesting games though. The Eagles show that they can beat bad teams, but they don't beat good teams. I think that's their MO. And the Rams, they looked bad yesterday, but I'm not going to put too much into it. It was a lot of COVID stuff. They had to move the game. And they ultimately pulled away and got the win. And that NFC West, that is going to be a fun finish out there for sure.
It's the wild, wild west, if you could call it here. Talk about your Detroit Lions getting an upset victory over the Arizona Cardinals and handing them their first road loss of the year. The Cardinals have been kind of slipping off a little bit, but you know what? I think the Cardinals are a team that's fun to watch down the stretch. But for the Lions, do they want the number one pick, or do they want to just finish the season on a good note, even though that they're eliminated from playoff contention?
The latter. You're right with the latter. This is about not getting the number one pick. Lions don't care about that. There's not some generational quarterback talent at the number one pick where it's like, well, we better get him. Even if there were, Jacksonville already has Trevor Lawrence, so getting the 2 pick wouldn't matter unless the team wanted to trade up, and get that pick. But that's not what the situation we're in. The Lions, and with any of these teams, draft pick is totally overrated. You do not need the one. You don't need a top 5 pick. Look at the Patriots. They got Mac Jones at the 13th pick or something like
15th.
that. 15th. And look, it's a great fit. You can find talent anywhere. You don't need the number one pick. And it's about winning games. The Lions, they want to win games. They want to build a culture. They want to build some confidence going into the next season. And I want to see them get another win. It might happen at Atlanta this week.
Yeah, they've yet to win a game on the road. The Lions, Dan Campbell's saying that I want to spoil playoff teams.
Yeah, he said he wanted to bring pain to other fan bases. He said that's their goal. After they got eliminated from the playoffs a couple weeks ago, he said now our goal is to bring pain to other teams. down the stretch, and that's what they're doing with the Vikings and the Cardinals, and I think there's going to be one more.
You not with Green Bay though?
Well, it depends. If Green Bay has the 1 seed locked up, they're not going to be out there trying to win that game. So, they could end up winning, at the end. But I think Green Bay is still going to have to fight for that 1 seed. I don't know. I have to check things out. But it's possible if Green Bay has nothing to play for, they could end up beating Green Bay as well. But I think this game in Atlanta, though, Detroit's going to be ready and prepared.
Yes, they are going to be ready to be prepared. We'll have to talk about that in just a little bit here. So, talk about the Chargers and Chiefs game in your big Week 15. They almost swept the Chiefs in that game, but Mahomes and the Chiefs were like, "We still own you."
I was at that game, and I'll say this: I don't think they got owned by the Chiefs. I think they've won at Arrowhead in week 3, so they've already beaten them once this year. That was just an instant classic. I didn't think the Chargers would win that game, and they were winning. They outplayed the Chiefs for most of that game. At the end, Derwin James went out, and I think that really hurt their defense. Their defense looked gassed at the end, and they didn't have Derwin James. And right when they looked gassed, and they didn't have Derwin James. Then all of a sudden, Travis Kelce started running around and catching balls, right? And so I think Derwin James' loss, that's huge. If Derwin James is healthy, I think they might win that game. They might be able to hold on. And just a great game, though. Herbert and Mahomes both looked really good. Their defense looked good. They both have big stars, playmakers. I'll say that if the Chargers get into the playoffs, and assuming the Chiefs get in, the Chargers are a team that could give the Chiefs, I think, a problem. They're divisional rivals. They know each other very well. The Chargers are a big play team. They have playmakers. They have Herbert. They're not afraid of going into Arrowhead and playing him. So I think that could be an interesting, fun matchup. But Chargers need to still punch their ticket. I mean, so do the Chiefs. But that was an instant classic, a great game to be at.
Yeah, absolutely. I could tell it was a really big game to be at here. So, anyways, let's start with our Thursday. Let's go to Thursday Night Football here. So tomorrow night, the shorthanded Tennessee Titans go up against the San Francisco 49ers. The Titans, they lost to the Steelers. It was an inexcusable game for them, but they're just shorthanded. No Derrick Henry, no A.J. Brown. I think the Colts, however, I'll tell you in a little bit when we talk about the Patriots and Bills game, I think the Colts are going to win the AFC South from the looks of things.
Might happen. The Colts, they got swept by Tennessee in the season series, so they have to not just tie the Titans, but they have to have a better record than them. The Colts are surging here. Tennessee, we knew this was happening with Tennessee with Derrick Henry going out and with other players out for them. They need to just kind of limp into the playoffs, hopefully hold on to the division, and get your team back for that first game, and off you go. They're a very well-coached team, I think. Very tough team. They do not have a dynamic offense without Derrick Henry in there. And that's been their problem. So they got to hang on. But this Thursday night game, this is going to be tough for them. 49ers are surging right now. And it's going to be really – I think the Niners should have an edge here against the Titans.
I'm picking the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo's going to have a really good game. I think the offense has been playing great lately. And I think the Niners defense is back to the 2019 Niners defense.
Yeah, these are going to be very I think there's going to be very this is going to be a very physical game. I think both teams are very physical. So should be a fun football game to watch.
And then you got Christmas Day. The Cleveland Browns and the Green Bay Packers. Baker should be back by then. Kevin Stefanski should be back coaching then. And you got Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers that are cooking right now. So I'm going to pick the Green Bay Packers to win this game. Not a blowout. It's probably going to be close.
Yeah, I think it might be close. Yeah, I'm going to go with Green Bay. I think Green Bay is they look really good. They're the best team right now in the NFL, and I think Cleveland, they're just having various issues on both, really just in terms of everything from COVID and injuries to some play on their offense, on the offense side of the ball, and I think they're going to lose that game.
And then the second Christmas Day game, you got the Colts and the Cardinals going head to head here. As much as I like Kyler Murray and this Colt and the Cardinals to win, I'm going with the Indianapolis Colts after a huge win over the New England Patriots last week. And I'll tell you, Carson Wentz has really resurrected his career in Indy. That's why I'm going for the Colts.
It's not so much Carson Wentz, I think, as it was Jonathan Taylor, who is, there's two teams in the NFL right now that have a very powerful, dynamic running game, and that's Tennessee when they have Derrick Henry, and then it's Indy when they have Jonathan Taylor. And Indy is going to be a tough out for any team going down the home stretch. And yeah, something is wrong with the Cardinals. I think it's Kyler Murray is not at 100%, and then DeAndre Hopkins is out, obviously. I think that Indy is going to be able to control the ball in the line of scrimmage, and I think they're going to come out with a win, and there's going to be some panic in Arizona.
There might be panic in Arizona, but, when you talk about the culture, the reason why I think the Colts are going to win this division, it's all about the coaching. You said the running game's good, and you think that with Wentz and Indy, do you think that his career has been resurrected by Frank Reich, who's actually a quarterback guru?
Yeah, I think he's helped Carson Wentz out, and then I think that Jonathan Taylor, man, what a great pick they made for him. Like that, he's the X factor for that team.
And also, don't forget Michael Pittman, T.Y. Hilton, and Zach Pascal.
Yeah.
So I think the Colts are a dangerous team, but they're probably not going to go far when it comes to the Super Bowl. They're a team that you just can't sleep on.
No, they showed that they can beat New England, and New England, they gave a blueprint. You control the line of scrimmage, you run the ball at them, and you put Mac Jones behind and force the ball into his hands, and he struggled in that situation.
Now we'll talk about the Bills and Patriots. I'll tell you what here. I'll say that one thing I'd have to say here is that one thing I got to tell you is that I think that the Buffalo Bills, they're a good team, I'll tell you that. But at the same time, I think that Mac Jones and the Patriots are playing very well. They're hungry for a division title. But I'm going with the New England Patriots to win this game because I think that they're going to bounce back from this. There's no way I see them losing 2 in a row.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is going to be one of the games of the week. There's a lot of great games this week. There's a lot. I think the weather is going to be fine. It's going to be partly cloudy, 39 degrees at Foxborough. And New England's favored by 2.5. This is a tough one to call. I think the Bills go in there and get a win. I just don't see them being swept by the Patriots this season. And I think that their loss at home to the Patriots, that seems so fluky that entire game. I think the Bills go in to Gillette Stadium and get a narrow win.
You mean it's gonna be close, but you think it's gonna be an instant classic between two great rivals in the AFC East?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the Patriots last week. I mean, Mac Jones didn't have his best game last week against the Colts, but the Patriots nearly pulled off a miracle in Indy.
Yeah.
So now let's go on to the Rams and the Vikings. I mean, the Rams, you said they didn't look good last week. They looked okay yesterday. It wasn't really their best game. But I think that their best game is coming, and I think they're going to get a huge win in Minneapolis. And as for the Vikings, they got a big win over the Bears last week on Monday night.
Yeah, this is a must-win game for the Vikings. I think. If they go to 7-8, I think they're going to have a tough time getting in the playoffs. But the Rams too, though, they are in the hunt for a division title. They're in the hunt for the 1 seed, maybe in the NFC, and I think the Rams are going to pull out a win here at US Bank Stadium.
Yes, and then the Vikings, even if they're 7-8, I think they're still going to be alive for a playoff spot, but they're going to have to play hero ball. I don't think their schedule's going to get that much easier.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll talk about the Chargers and the Texans. So, I mean, could you just say that the Houston Texans season is put to bed, even though they got a huge win over the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, Chargers, they got to just avoid like a letdown type of game. They got to stay focused and concentrated. They're favored by 9.5 points, and that they were initially favored by 8. So a lot of money has been coming in on the Chargers to cover here. So I think the Chargers are going to get a good win here. And then they'll have a home game against the Broncos January 2nd, and then they wrap up the season at Las Vegas.
Yeah, so if the Chargers make the playoffs and if they have a home game, will you be there for it?
Yeah, I'm on the list to get ticket options. So I don't think they'll win the division, though. I think it's going to be Kansas City.
It is going to be Kansas City, by the way, they're playing right now. Mm-hmm. And maybe they could, I was kind of thinking that they're not going to make the Super Bowl for a third year in a row.
Yeah.
You and I both thought that, but what if they do? Would you be shocked if they made it to the Super Bowl for a third year in a row?
Oh, no. I think right now I'd put them in as a favorite in the AFC. Like Kansas City, yeah, for sure. I mean, we'll see if that holds up. My initial prediction was Bills-Rams in the Super Bowl, but they're not the best in their conference right now. So
the AFC is so wide open. I mean,
yeah.
It's hard to predict which team in the AFC will run through. So the Giants and the Eagles are going head-to-head. The Giants are 4-10. The Eagles are 7-7. I think Jalen Hurts is the guy going forward. And I'm going to pick the Eagles to get a huge win against the Giants after a huge win against Washington.
Yep, I'm going with the Eagles here too. Daniel Jones is shut down for the rest of the season, and yeah, I think the Eagles, like I said, they beat up on bad teams. They'll beat up on the Giants.
Yeah, so that's kind of the Eagles' mantra. They really need to find a way to get in the playoffs, which I think they have the capabilities of doing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we'll talk about Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Carolina Panthers. And last week, Cam Newton and the Panthers got pounded by the Bills. They got exposed.
Yeah, the Bucs are going to go in there, and even though they're depleted with no Leonard Fournette,
no Chris Godwin, that's huge.
Yeah, that's rough for the Buccaneers. They're going to go limping into the playoffs. Looks like maybe even Mike Evans will be questionable, but I think they're still going to go into Carolina and get a big win.
They probably won't need Mike Evans for this game if I were them, because if you're already in the playoffs, you want to save him for those meaningful games.
Yeah.
And also Leonard Fournette, too, because the Buccaneers' schedule is very favorable down the stretch.
Yep.
So they got the Jets next week, and then they'll end the year with Carolina.
Yep.
And then number 1 pick versus number 2 pick. Robert Saleh might not be even coaching this game because he tested positive for COVID-19. Hopefully he's vaccinated so that he can be coaching this game. So I'm going to pick, as much as I hate the Jets, and, I like Zach Wilson, I want to see Trevor Lawrence come into New York and get a win.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I just saw the line. It was 2.5 in favor of the Jets. And now it's even because I think of the Robert Saleh potentially missing the game. So, it's a pick 'em. I'll go with the Jags going in there and getting a win.
Yeah, I mean, first game without Urban Meyer, it did not go well.
No, yeah, they lost.
And tell me your thoughts on Darrell Bevell being the interim coach. even though that he was from your Detroit Lions, do you want him to get the head coaching job in Detroit, in Jacksonville?
No, he won't get it. They're going to go with some offensive guy with Lawrence.
Would you want Darrell Bevell to be an offensive coordinator elsewhere?
It's possible. I don't really think so much about it, but the Jags, they could go with Byron Leftwich, or they could go.
That's what I want as the Jags head coach. Honestly, Byron Leftwich, who knows the organization well. He's a quarterback. He used to be a quarterback there, and I think that he would really help Trevor Lawrence out with his development.
Yeah,
that's why I want Byron Leftwich getting that job. So, anyways, the Lions and the Falcons. I mean, I thought about this game and who I want to win here. I love Matt Ryan. I like Matty Ice. But the Falcons, they're really good offensively. But don't underestimate the Matt Ryan and his eliteness. Falcons' defense is atrocious. I want to say the Detroit Lions make it 3 in a row.
Yeah, I'm saying the Lions go down to Atlanta and win as well. I think they're gonna. I think this is they're gonna show some fight here.
What's impressed you about this Lions team this year than it was last season?
Well, right now, over the last couple of weeks, they've clearly been showing they've been getting better over the course of the season. And Dan Campbell's just a better voice and better coach than Matt Patricia. Yeah.
Dan Campbell, I mean, I think the players love him in Detroit. I mean, I think that he's leading Detroit in the right direction. And, he's he used to play for you guys. And coming from that perspective, I think he's bringing in new ideas and new beginnings to Detroit.
Yep.
And I have no doubt in my mind that Dan Campbell will eventually make Detroit a contender.
Yeah.
Because he's the right person for this. But he's just got to get the right quarterback, though.
Okay.
That's what I think here. But anyways, the Ravens and the Bengals are going head-to-head here. If Lamar Jackson plays, then I think the Ravens win. But I'm going to go with the Bengals sweeping the Ravens just because I'm on the Joe Burrow hype train, and I think that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, those guys, I think are going to be the reason why I think they will beat Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Bengals too here. I think that their
offense. Plus, it's at home.
Yeah, I think their offense is going to take advantage of the weakened Ravens secondary. And Lamar Jackson, even if he plays, he might not be 100%. So I'm going to go with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm on the Cincinnati hype train. I think the Bengals will be good as next year. I think they're going to probably be my favorite to win the NFC North next year, depending on what they do. But the reason why I would pick them for next year is because of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And Joe Mixon, too. But anyways, the Chicago Bears taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Both teams, they should just say goodbye to this season. Both teams are. Because the Seahawks lost. I mean, I think Russell Wilson is going to stay with the Seahawks because this is not the first time that the Seahawks have had a losing season with Russell Wilson at quarterback. So that's why it would be silly for them to let him go.
Yeah, I think that – sorry, I'm making coffee here too. I think that the Seahawks and Russell Wilson are going to divorce. I think he has one foot out the door already. And I think they'll get a win here, though, against the Bears, which they don't look like much is going right their way.
Much is not going right for Chicago. I'm with you on Seattle winning. Even if they go 8-9, it's not going to be enough for the Seahawks to make it to the playoffs. They still have to face Arizona. Arizona's not going to be easy.
That's correct, yeah.
And I think the Bears have a future with Justin Fields, but they just have to give him the right head coach. And I predict that would be Eric Bieniemy as the favorite.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want Bieniemy to coach the Bears to kind of help Justin Fields out with his development, running out of the pocket and throwing? Because that's what Fields is good at.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to learn to pass, though. He hasn't shown that he's that good of a passer, and he needs to develop a little bit more offensively in that regard. He can't just be my first read is not there, and so I'm going to run out of the pocket, right? So he needs to develop. I don't know if he's going to work or not. Like, I think they need a new coach to work with him, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, the Chicago Bears they're quite a mess. And you said that Virginia Hallis McCaskey and George McCaskey are both the bad owners in the NFL.
Yes, they are. I think they have not done anything since the 1985 Bears. I mean, and they have a very dysfunctional franchise, I think. It seems like they have lots of head coaching changes, lots of new quarterbacks coming in and out, and it's just they're a lot more dysfunctional than what people usually think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. But anyways, let's talk about the Steelers and Chiefs. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger versus Pat Mahomes. I'm going to go with Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs here because I think that the Chiefs are playing really good right now. A lot of people are thinking, like, is their defense was bad to begin the season. Their offense wasn't clicking. But now the Chiefs' offense is actually clicking.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win here, even though they're out a couple of players like Travis Kelce's a big loss. I still think the Chiefs are going to win at home against the Steelers. I'll take the Chiefs here.
I would too. I mean, I think right now they're pretty much the king of the crop of the AFC West, but I think the AFC won't be decided until the last week of the season. So now on to the next 125 game. It's a trap game for both of these teams, the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. But talk about the Denver Broncos losing Teddy Bridgewater to a concussion. I heard he's doing well, but man, that was scary.
Yeah, well, I heard it's unlikely he's going to play on Sunday. So
that's huge for the Broncos if they don't let him play.
Yeah, if he doesn't play, I think it's Raiders will get the win here.
Who do you think has a chance to keep their playoff hopes alive? Is it the Broncos or do you think it's the Raiders?
Raiders, yeah.
I think it's the Raiders. I picked the Raiders to win this game. Drew Lock. I mean, do you want to underestimate Drew Lock? He's been a bust. He's probably going to get hit around.
Yeah, I think that it's going to come down to Drew Lock. He's going to struggle to win, I think, in an environment like this. So I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Yes, at home, in Vegas, trying to keep your hopes alive. And the Raiders, even though they haven't played particularly well down the stretch, they still find ways to still be alive in these races.
Yep.
So now let's talk about the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys. Sunday Night Football. I mean, Washington needs to get Taylor Heineke back to kind of make this an interesting game. But I'm going to go with the better team in the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys. They're going to run away with this one, I think.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. You got to get Heineke in there, and if he's in there, I think it's going to be a close ball game. And then you got the Miami Dolphins and the New Orleans Saints. My man Tua Tagovailoa is already showing to me that he's the future of the Dolphins, by the way he's been playing lately. And for the Saints, they came off an unlucky 9-0 win in Tampa Bay. It kind of tells you that the Saints are still the Saints can't be counted out.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like, who would have thought several weeks ago that Dolphins Saints would be like a good Monday Night Football game, but playoff implications for both teams. This is kind of a must win.
I'm going to go with Tua and the Dolphins to win this game because I think the Dolphins are rolling right now, and I really think that the Miami Dolphins, they found their guy, in my opinion, in Tua Tagovailoa. And a lot of people don't think he's a franchise quarterback. He's about to prove the doubters wrong in this game on Monday.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with the Saints at home. I think their defense gives them enough fits that I think they come out with a narrow victory.
All right, so now we'll talk about the NBA Christmas Day games, but there's been a lot of COVID cases lately.
Yeah, the NFL even shut down, or the NHL shut down. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the NHL in just a little bit, but the Lakers last night, they got pounded by Phoenix yesterday. Well, do you have any thoughts on the Lakers? Do you think that the Lakers, they're a team that you think you need to be concerned with right now? Is it time to hit the panic button on the Lakers?
I wouldn't quite say panic, but I would say that there are signs that this is not working, and it could be, Westbrook maybe is not the right fit. It could be that Anthony Davis is just not healthy enough, and he's not. He wants to play. He doesn't want to play the around the rim so much. He wants to take jump shots and play around the three, and it's just there's lots of weird issues here, and I think that they're not. You look at like when they match up against the Suns, and when you match up against Golden State, man, they are way behind those two teams.
Yeah, they are way behind right now, but they just gotta stay healthy. That's kind of the thing that the Lakers need to do here. I mean, they were on a win streak earlier, but it wasn't enough here. But anyways, talking about your Detroit Pistons, they lost to a 14-17 New York Knicks team. But it shows you something. The Pistons, they're bad. Like, what do they need to do to kind of redeem themselves? You don't expect them to go far. You don't expect them to make a run.
No, they just got to they're not playing. They're not going to do anything this season. It's just they got to just get experience for these guys. They got to check out, move some pieces around eventually, and for next year. But yeah, they're awful.
Yeah, very awful. There were times that the Lakers should have beaten them by more than 10 points.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to the NFL here. Let's kind of shift back to the NFL a little bit here. So, talk about coaches on the hot seat. Do you think is there a head coach to you that you think's one and done? I think it's David Culley. More likely David Culley than Robert Saleh.
Didn't Houston say they were going to keep David Culley or no?
You heard that report, but I heard that the Texans are considering moving on from David Culley.
Oh yeah. I think he's vulnerable. I think when he was hired, it was like a stopgap. It was like, who wanted to run that team, for a year? And I don't think he was a long-term solution. I think it was just like, hey, we need to get someone in here to coach us. I think Saleh is in danger too, though. I think both of them are.
I think Robert Saleh's safe than David Culley is. I just think that you don't want to fire Robert Saleh if I were Jets ownership, because Jets ownership is very, very impatient. Like, Woody Johnson wants to win badly. He wants to bring a winning football team to the city of New York. That's his goal. I just don't. I think Woody Johnson's the problem, but I don't think Joe Douglas is the problem.
Yeah.
I just think it's Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson that are the ones to blame. They always say they want to build a winning franchise in the Jets, but they're just awfully bad. They're probably not going to be good for a while.
Yeah.
But I think Zach Wilson's the future. I think he's playing like it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, now that being said here, we'll talk about some NHL news. So, basically the season's paused until after Christmas. Did you think this was a good idea for the NHL to pause its season now?
I don't know. I think the NBA is doing something different. They're just kind of letting it ride. So we'll see what happens.
The NHL has a holiday break.
Yeah, I thought, kind of conspiracy theory in me, I thought this is the way that the NHL doesn't participate in the Winter Olympics. They can kind of blame it on like COVID issues, blah, blah, blah. And they won't offend the Chinese government, by saying we're not going to have our hockey players going over there. So just some food for thought there.
I mean, there were there was only like one game since yesterday, but the Detroit you were supposed to play the Colorado Avalanche, the Detroit Red Wings were, but I think that game's going to get rescheduled.
Yeah.
So, despite the pause in this holiday break, have you seen gradual improvement from the Wings?
Oh yeah, they are an exciting team to watch with their young stars, Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider, their goaltender Alex Didkovich. Like they're just there is a lot of optimism.
You mean Hockey Town is back?
Yeah.
Because
I think they might get into the playoffs this year as like a wild card, as like an 8 or 7 seed. But next year they might be bringing up a couple other guys, and then they might look to free agency to bring in a couple of guys. So yeah, watch out.
Yeah, watch out for the Red Wings, that's for sure. But anyways. Now back to the NBA here. Let's make some predictions for the Christmas Day games. Some games might be moved to Christmas Day or something like that as contingency plans. But I feel like that the NBA is going to play the games as scheduled here. So let's start with the Hawks and the Knicks. So Trae Young hopefully could be playing this game against the New York Knicks, rematch of last year's first round. I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks to win this game.
Yeah, me too.
And then what about Giannis and the Bucks versus Tatum and the Celtics? I'm going with Giannis and the Bucks.
Yes, I am also going with Giannis and the Bucks.
This one is probably going to be one of the tougher games out of the schedule here. I mean, the 25-6 Warriors versus the 25-5 Suns. I'm going to go with Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns to win this game.
And I am excited about that one. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Yeah, I'm going with this is a tough one to predict too. I'm going to go with the Warriors to get a win here on the road.
Talk about Steph Curry being the three-point king this past week. What was your takeaways on that when he made that three-pointer in New York? And that Del Curry was there and all the family of Curry.
Oh, yeah, just wonderful, yeah.
And then this game is probably going to be the most watched, I think. The Lakers and Nets. Anthony Davis not playing. I mean, KD could be back. And then Kyrie, what's your thoughts on the Nets bringing back Kyrie Irving as a part-time player?
Yeah, I haven't followed much up on it. What did they decide to do there?
He's in COVID protocol right now. He's not vaccinated.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But if Anthony Davis doesn't play, you'll still see LeBron and Westbrook go head-to-head with James Harden and Kevin Durant. I want the Lakers to get a win here. They need to get something going.
They do. Yep.
And who do you want in this game between the Nets and the Lakers?
I would like I think that the Nets are going to get the win.
And why do you think Brooklyn will get the win?
They're just a much better team right now, so I think they're going to get the win.
And then the Mavericks and the Utah Jazz to conclude Christmas Day. So if Luka's playing, I think the Mavs win. But I'm actually going to go with the Utah Jazz. I think they're a team that you can't underestimate. You can't sleep on them.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Utah too in this one.
Because I think that the Jazz are a team that you can't sleep on. They're a well-coached team. And I think that the Jazz are going to be a tough out, I think, in the playoffs if you look at it.
Yeah.
And a little preview of the Lakers-Spurs game. So the Spurs are 12-18. Greg Popovich and the Spurs are not good right now, but this is a rebuild year for the Spurs, and Greg Popovich is helping with that rebuild. And for the Lakers, do you think and then for the Lakers, they're 16-16. Do the Lakers find a way to beat San Antonio?
I think they do, yeah.
Yeah, that's a game they need to win. If they don't, I mean, the Spurs are young, and they have a talented young core, though.
Yeah.
So, anyways, let's go on to some baseball news. So, the New York Mets finally hired their guy. And you and I have talked about who their next skipper would be, and it is Buck Showalter. And I'll tell you, I knew it was going to happen. And Buck Showalter is a baseball lifer. Good move for the Mets. Would you give that an A++ if you had to grade the Mets higher of Buck Showalter?
Yeah, I think that's what they need there.
Yes, experience. And how do you think it's going to benefit the Mets? Do you think the Mets are a team that's going to be a division winner with Showalter now in the dugout?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best hire they could have made.
Yeah, they considered other options too, but I think that hiring Buck Showalter out of MLB Network is the right move for the Mets.
Uh-huh.
Do you think now that he's taken over as the manager, do you think that things in the clubhouse in the Mets will be so much better with Buck Showalter?
I think it'll be a big help, yeah.
Max Scherzer wanted him there. And do you think that Steve Cohn got his wish to come true?
Yes.
So then tell me your thoughts on the A's hiring Mark Kotsay. Was that more of a move that the A's are heading in for a rebuild, or do you think that the A's are still ready to win now?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they're ready to win now. I think it's going to be a little bit of a rebuild.
Somewhat, yes, but you think that they're going to have to move off from Matt Olson and Matt Chapman. They're two bright hitters in their lineup.
Yeah.
And then I heard an interesting report, and I want to get your take on this, that your Tigers actually offered Carlos Correa a 10-year deal for a lot of money or something like that. Are you saying that after the lockout ends that the Tigers should be in play to get Carlos Correa?
I don't think so. They offered him something, and it was a lowball offer, and he said no. And I think he wants just more money.
Do you think is there a chance that he resigns with the Astros?
Yeah, there is, I think.
Or the Cubs, but the Cubs probably will give him a short-term offer.
Yeah.
He probably will say no to a short-term offer.
Yeah.
So I think Correa will probably be back with Houston. I think that he's found a home there, and I think that he's formed a brotherhood with that infield with Bregman and Altuve and Gurriel. So basically, after the lockout, you think there's another move left in the Detroit Tigers to catch the White Sox?
Yeah, I think
after getting Javi Baez.
Uh-huh.
And then talk about guys like, when do you think Torkelson is going to be ready? When do you think Riley Green is going to be ready?
I hope this year.
And if Torkelson is a rookie this year, do you think he's your starting first baseman?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, talk about and then for the Dodgers. I mean, do you think the Dodgers keep Kershaw and Jansen post-lockout?
Yes.
And then Freeman, he's been linked to the Dodgers, but I don't think he's going to be a Dodger.
Uh-huh.
Do you think he remains a Brave? Because there's no way Atlanta's going to let him go. He's like the heart and soul of the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyways, Matt, that's going to do it for our show. New Year's special next week, and we will see you next Wednesday. Merry Christmas to you and your family, Matt.
Merry Christmas to you and all of our listeners.